Hey there, it's Imran and you're watching Imran Plus. Welcome back. It's that time of year again where we rank our favorite movies of the year. 2024 has been an interesting year. I think we've had a lot of great movies, some really good movies that I think are going to go down as classics, and some not so great movies. But overall, I had a great time watching all of them throughout this year. I think it's been a great year for movies in general and for Hollywood. And so I'm really excited to share my top 10 list with you. I had a lot of fun making this and catching up on movies to make sure I got as much as I could. Keep in mind though, I didn't get to finish all of the movies of this year. I didn't get to see the December releases like Nosferatu and A Complete Unknown. I really wanted to, but I just couldn't make it work. And so this year, my list is not going to include those movies, which I'm sure probably will make my list at some point when I get to see them. So keep that in mind if you don't see some of your favorites on here. So before we get into my top 10 list, I want to spotlight 5 honorable mentions in no particular order. I think these movies deserve a watch. I highly recommend them. I would consider them some of the best of the year as well. I just couldn't fit them on my top 10 list. The 5 honorable mentions of 2024, again, in no particular order, are Thelma, Kingdom of the Apes, Anora, The Substance, and A Different Man. I really enjoyed all 5 of these movies for different reasons, so I encourage you to check them out. Make sure you look at the ratings in case some of these movies are not for everybody, but I think they're all really worth checking out if you love cinema and movies in general. Like really, really good time with each of these. All right, and now let's go into my top 10 movies, starting with number 10, and that is Juror Number 2. This movie is a really interesting moral and ethical deliberation with phenomenal acting by its leads. Nicholas Hoult is amazing, and Toni Collette does a really, really good job along with Chris Messina. I had a great time. This is the latest movie I saw. I actually saw this a couple days ago, and I wasn't expecting this to make my list, but it just happened to because I was so involved in the movie, and it had me thinking a lot and asking myself a lot of questions. And I think that is a sign of a really good movie. It's well constructed, well acted. There's no wasted scenes, and I had a really good time. I like the ending. I think it's a little ambiguous, but I have my I interpret it a certain way, and so I'm happy with how everything played out. It feels old-fashioned in a really good way. And of course, it's Clint Eastwood, one of his last movie. And so that alone deserves it being checked out. So check this one out. Number 9 is a tie between Wicked and Wolverine and Deadpool. I know I'm cheating a little bit, but I had a really hard time deciding between these two movies. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman both embodying Deadpool and Wolverine so well. Of course they have, because they've played these characters for such a long time. It was a joy to see them come together on the screen. As a comic book fan, that alone was worth the price of admission. Hugh Jackman, seeing him in the classic costume was incredible. It does feel a little corporate, and Ryan Reynolds, I think, is not my personal taste, but I think they both capture the characters so well, and it's such a fun comedy with great comic book references. It was a summer blockbuster. I think it deserves to be on this list because I did enjoy it a lot. With Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't see myself revisiting it very often, but with Wicked, I see myself revisiting it very often. It was incredible. The world building was beautiful, and the music is so well done. Seeing Elphaba and Glinda be brought to life by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande was amazing. They did a really great job. They understood these characters and brought them to life in such a magical way. And I'm really excited to see what unfolds in part 2. So of course, you've probably seen both these movies, but if you haven't, check them out. They are really great blockbusters and a great time in the theater. Number 8 is Beetlejuice. I know I wasn't expecting this movie to be on my list either, but I can't lie. I kept trying to make this list without Beetlejuice, and it just didn't feel right because I love this movie so much. It is right up my alley in terms of its comedy and the way everything is filmed. I just really enjoy this a lot. It's so fun, and the characters are really fun. I think this is a Halloween classic. It is, at least for me. And the best part is, I think that this movie is better than the original. When I watched Beetlejuice for the first time, I was surprised by how little Beetlejuice is even in the movie. And so this time, I was really pleased with the amount that Beetlejuice has to do in the movie, and I think his story is really interesting. And the rest of the characters do a really good job. It's a compelling story, and I think it expands the lore of the original movie really, really well. I'd be excited to see another one, and how can they resist doing Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice? Number 7 is Conclave. This movie is going to get a lot of awards, and I am excited to see that happen. It is just a really thrilling movie about people talking in rooms. And who would have thought that that would be so entertaining? That aspect, along with the amazing score of this movie, helps it succeed in ways that are similar to Succession. So if you really enjoyed Succession and if you like stories like that, you're gonna really enjoy Conclave. It's really thrilling with amazing acting, and it has a lot to say about our world, how we interact with other people, and religion as well. It's not preachy in any way, and it doesn't offend anybody. At least it didn't to me. And the best part is it has a very satisfying and fascinating ending. I think if you invest your time in Conclave, you're going to be really pleased with how it all plays out. It's a very timely movie that has a lot to say while still being entertaining, and that's really rare. So I really encourage you to check out Conclave because it's a crowd pleaser, but it's also a really made movie, so it's going to be a big movie during award season. So you're not going to want to miss it. Check out Conclave. Number 6, another blockbuster, Inside Out 2. I didn't expect to like this movie or even watch it, but I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed it. Inside Out, of course, the first one is a really great movie. And, everyone's been saying that Pixar has fallen off and they've lost their touch, but I think this is Pixar at its finest. To be honest, I never thought they lost their touch. I think they've been doing a great job. I've enjoyed everything that they put out so far. But this movie, along with Dream Productions, which is so good on Disney Plus, so good, is peak Pixar creativity. It's emotional and clever, and it hits just as hard as the first one. This and Dream Productions are fantastic Pixar projects that I really think everyone should watch. You've probably seen Inside Out too, and so if you haven't, you should check that out. But you should also watch Dream Productions on Disney Plus. This is more of an advertisement for Dream Productions, but Inside Out 2 was also a really good movie. So Inside Out 2 and Dream Productions, watch them if you haven't, really good. All right, and now we get to our top 5 movies of the year. These top 5 movies have kind of been in place since I saw them. Like, no other movies have kind of broken into my top 5, so I feel really confident about these and really good about these, and I'm excited to share them with you. So starting with number 5, Transformers 1. To be honest with you, I really don't know what makes this movie so special, but it just works, and I felt a kinship to this movie and to the characters in a way that I don't think I have with any of the other movies on my list. I was really protective of these characters for some reason, and I was also invested in their journeys. I don't know if it's because they're animated like toys or if the facial expressions or the voice acting just really connected, but I don't know. I just really fell in love with these characters. Even though the story itself is predictable, it's still really engaging, and these characters are so full of personality and heart. I just really loved it so much, and the ending really hits hard. The action is amazing in this movie, so you're definitely going to be entertained. The visuals are really good, and the animation is really strong, as well as the voice acting. It's really charismatic and charming, and the lore of the Transformers, like planets and all of that stuff, is also pretty interesting. I'm not too well versed in it, so I was a relative newcomer, and I had a great time. Maybe it's because I'm a sucker for friends turn enemy stories like Professor X and Magneto, but Transformers 1 is a really great movie that depicts the origins of Megatron and Optimus Prime in a way that you would not have expected. If you're a fan of these types of stories, then I would check this out. If you're a fan of animation, definitely check this one out. And if you just want a good time, if you just want to turn your brain off and have a good time watching a movie, this one is going to be really entertaining. I highly recommend it. Give it a chance. You're probably not going to be disappointed unless you really don't like animated movies or you really don't like Transformers. I think this honestly is the best Transformers movie out of all of them. Number 4 is A Quiet Place Day 1. This movie is maybe my favorite movie of the Quiet Place series. Going back to day 1 of this story is a really genius idea, and the story that it chooses to tell is very small, like smaller than you would expect, but has such an effect in the background of such chaos. It's a perfect pairing, and I feel like this movie deserves a lot more recognition and praise for that reason. I'm a huge fan of Lupita Nyong'o, which you'll probably see later on in this list as well. but this is some of her best work, which isn't saying much because every single project of hers is her best work. She literally never misses. And so this, if you're a Lupita Nyong'o fan, you have to check this one out if you haven't already. She does such an amazing job. It's such a nuanced, subtle performance that I think everyone can connect to. And I think the ending is so satisfying and fulfilling that it's worth the journey. Sometimes movies like this, you're left heartbroken and not in a good way. But in this movie, you kind of know what's going to happen, but the way it happens is so empowering. It's worth the journey. And Joseph Quinn is also really good in this movie. All right, number 3. This movie has been at the top of my list ever since I saw it. Challengers. What an exciting and energetic movie. I was on the edge of my seat for many parts of this movie, and not just the tennis sequences. It is so well made. As a former tennis player, I love the tennis sequences. The energy of this movie is off the charts, both in terms of the tennis sequences as well as the matches between the characters in other ways. I'm a huge Zendaya fan and I'm a huge Mike Face fan from West Side Story, and both of them do something really new and interesting in this movie, and it's exciting to watch. And Josh O'Connor is brilliant, as always. And so the three of them are this works so well together and play off each other in really cool ways. It's so fun to watch them interact. All three leads are amazing, and this movie gets better and better on every rewatch. There's always something new that you take out of it, and you kind of are rooting for a different character each time. So fascinating in that sense, and such a great movie just in terms of entertainment value. I'm really rooting for this movie, and it is going to be one of my all-time favorites for sure. I will always revisit this movie, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop listening to that score anytime soon. So check out Challengers. Number 2 is The Wild Robot. You better bring tissues to this movie. It is phenomenal, and I hope it wins Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. It's another career best from Lupita Nyong'o, which, like I said, every one of her movies is a career best. But this movie is absolutely stunning. There's gorgeous animation and a beautiful score, both of which make this emotional and endearing story an instant beloved classic. It is so well voice acted, like the entire cast. I was very surprised because you recognize their voices, but they embody their characters so well. They're so perfectly cast. For anyone who has ever felt left out or different, which that includes most people, this movie will resonate deeply. It's about accepting who you are, and also underscores the value of family, both the family that you're given and the one you choose for yourself. For that reason, it's a must-see. And now, number 1, my favorite movie of 2024, of course, is Dune Part 2. This is cinema. This is peak cinema. I love this movie so much. I have no complaints whatsoever. The direction, cinematography, score, sound, production design, editing, costumes, acting, everything, 10 out of 10. I love this movie so much. I love Dune Part 1, and Dune Part 2 is the perfect second half of a double feature. The world building is phenomenal, and this movie expands that world, but also deepens the characters in really rich ways. There's so much to dig into here and break down and explore. And on top of it all, it's visually stunning. Greg Fraser, you are a legend. Denis Villeneuve, hats off. Hans Zimmer, amazing. This is visual storytelling at its finest. I have a friend who knows nothing about Dune, and on the way to see this movie, I explained the premise of the first movie, and they walked out of this sequel stunned. They didn't know anything about it previously, and they walked out stunned. So that goes to show that this movie is just truly something special. So I hope it gets a lot of awards. I doubt it will, because there's going to be other front runners like Anora, A Complete Unknown. But for me, this is the best picture of the year, hands down, no questions. So check it out and let me know what you think of my top 10 movies of 2024. What do you think of where I rank certain movies and which movies didn't make it onto the list? And let me know what your top 10 movies are of 2024 as well. I'm really excited to see what you all write in the comments. This has been really fun. I always love making a ranking list and watching movies, and I think that's what it's all about. You know, people who like movies, watching movies, and talking about them. So let me know, share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time. Lots more videos coming in 2025. Can't wait to discuss all the new releases. Until then, make sure you like this video, subscribe, share with your friends and fellow movie enthusiasts, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.